Last week we saw a brilliant battle. Well, less of a battle, more of a snow race. I've already messed this up. Last week we saw a wet race in Australia in the first round of the Season 3 Premier Division here in SpeedForce Racing, and tonight is going to be just as much of a race. My name is JB and welcome back to SpeedForce Racing, and I am so excited to be giving up the Premier Division tonight, as per normal on SpeedForce Racing. Earlier tonight we saw the GP2 drivers go forward for a fantastic battle through the race, and hopefully today will be just as fun in Premier. So we're going to run through the drivers' standings right now, then a little bit of gardening leave for a moment. So User won the last race in the Williams, had a brilliant race for himself and the Williams team in the wet. Ahead of Ramavad, who unfortunately isn't here tonight due to work restraints, ahead of Chopper, who got P4, down to he having a 10-second penalty. That moved Hamilton into P3 in the championship, who got on the podium. Then it was tough to handle in P5, and that's all the finishes we had after eight drivers took to the stage. We had Fletcher Boy, who didn't race, Carlos, who crashed out of the race, Fletcher Boy, who didn't race, and Marquez, who did not race himself. So a little bit of gardening leave. Since the last race in Australia, Humbug, Fletcher Boy and a few other drivers have decided that they are not going to be part of SpeedForce Racing any longer. So we wish them all good luck in the future and their league racing careers, and bid them farewell. So in their rake we have two Sauber drivers in Orchard David and Orchard Socks, two men who I very well know. Irishmen who are here to win, I believe they are. They said to me they're here to win and here to prove themselves against the SpeedForce Racing guys. Do apologise as my internet appears to be hemorrhaging power as I'm trying to process the last stream at the same time. Well, you know, what can you do? So two Sauber drivers and CSR Vulcan. Welcome Vulcan to SpeedForce Racing. To be fair, I don't know much about Vulcan at all. So I'm not going to lie to you. It's going to be interesting to see how he drives tonight. We have Carlos GB in the Ferrari as per normal. Welcome again, Carlos. Welcome to all the drivers. Let's say that. And VSR Hamilton, who has now changed the name to CSR Hamilton. All of these eSport names get very confusing after all. So I'm just going to call him Hamilton, Vulcan, David and Socks. That's what I should call him. Orchid. I don't know what that is, to be honest. I need to ask the two of them. Either it's a flower or something else. And I'd like to say welcome, for a big Season 3 welcome, to Honey Badger, who didn't make the first race but has managed to make tonight. So, the championship leader, User, is not here. The Belgian is not here tonight, so it's going to be very interesting. Very interesting as I try and deal with a lot of things. There was a few incidents in GP2 which the stewards will be looking at, and I'm trying to make sure that I know in the loop of everything. I'm very confused because apparently I crashed someone out when I was up here in the commentary box. Well, GP2 was a crazy race. So we'll see if Prem lives up to it as well. Premier Division obviously being the faster division of the two divisions. Though last week it showed that they didn't have as good racing in the wet, as there was only 5 finishes. But to be honest, there was 5 finishes in both races. So 11 people tonight going racing around the circuit of Bahrain. I didn't go through this in GP2 because I had a struggle at times. There it is, the circuit that I believe should really start the calendar but doesn't. It's obviously located in Sakia, and the tyres we'll be seeing tonight will be the super soft, the softs and the mediums. We will not be seeing the full wets or the intermediates, unlike last week, down to the fact that if it rains in Bahrain, then I think we should restart, if you ask me. There are 15 turns here at Bahrain. Very quick circuit, very nice circuit. It's one of my favourites, and it's 3.383 miles long, or 5.412 kilometres long. I didn't just memorise that. I'm reading it on the chat, just for, you know, continuity error. Track level is easy apparently through those S's, though car seems to dance and slide around quite a bit, which isn't great fun at all. The lap record right now was set by Pedro De La Rosa. The race lap record was set by Pedro De La Rosa. I believe that was in the McLaren in 2005 in the 131.4. So it should be interesting to see if any of our drivers can beat that tonight. So No penalties were dished out in GP2 in Premier last week. I'm just re-getting set up, so I know where everything is plugged in, and we should hopefully be going racing very, very soon, as everyone goes red on here. So I'm just going to unplug everything, turn everything off the Wi-Fi, just in case I lose internet connection. You know me, always struggling with Wi-Fi. We have 12 drivers in tonight, and welcome, that's Lee now, he's not racing today. Welcome Tweeny Boy Jr., the Dutchman who is, the two Dutchmen now in the Premier Division. He is taking the seat of Force India instead of Josh Fletcher, who obviously has decided to part ways with SpeedForce Racing since his time is done in SpeedForce, and, you know, it just happens. That happens, drivers leave, we all leave. To be fair, I basically left as all the drivers light up to get ready to go racing tonight. I will just let them know. Give me a moment. I've actually got to open the chat now. All drivers in the lobby. We're ready to go racing. All the drivers are ready. We have 2 spectators. That's just because Lee now is hosting the lobby. He will be disappearing later to go and do some little chores of his for himself, and then all the drivers will be ready to go racing here as we all light up. Who is the missing driver now? We appear to have lost 11 drivers. Oh, well, it might just be 11 drivers anyway. See Brendan Lee there in the Toro Rosso, as well as Brendan Lee down in the Sauber. Quite an in-joke between me and Orchard Socks about them being called Brendan Lee, as I have a slight issue with Brendan Lee myself. I don't much like him, but you know, he won the Esports Championship. That's how it goes. As we head over to Bahrain here, and we're gonna have a look. I don't know what the times are set. We had a pretty day race in Bahrain. Not a day race, sorry, a dusk to dawn, dusk to night race in Bahrain instead of a full night race, which was, I think, just the timings getting messed up. Hopefully, Lee now has changed that. Who is obviously our lobby maker, as I put all my internet into the streams here. So another 29 laps of racing, but first 18 minutes of qualifying for to sort out everything, the top 11 drivers who are here in Premier Division, as I'm trying to make sure there's not a lot of arguments going on in the other chat. It's 9 o'clock here, or 5 to 9 here in the UK, and it'll be a little bit later in some of the foreign countries for drivers who are not using British Standard Time. Unfortunately for them, they're going to be racing a little bit further into the night, but these guys obviously wanting to show up and show as much as they can do tonight, as I'm starting to wrap myself up in my blanket because I'm feeling a little bit cold. If I start complaining in here, I do apologise. That's just down to the fact I pulled my back earlier in the day and it really hurts and no one cares. So yeah, here we are now. Here a little bit darker here in qualifying. So it should be interesting to see what happens on here and see how much quicker the Premier drivers are than the GP2 drivers to Gort in the Renault tonight. Can't remember where the Gort was last week. No, the Gort didn't join us last week because he was busy. I think it was a dinner party. I see a Red Bull, CSR Hamilton spinning up his engine. Tyre blankets coming off now in that car as he gets ready to leave the pit lane. We should go on board with him right about now. There it is, getting dropped onto the track. Wheels spinning, but the Renault's out first, and I believe that should be CSR Vulcan. It is CSR Vulcan running a very simple helmet in the Renault. That, by the sounds of it, means that we got a Renault engine glitch again in SpeedForce Racing, which we had to deal with in the GP2 race. Yep, we do. And that's unfortunate. I don't really like to hear that. But the number 22 Renault is on track now, ahead of CSR Hamilton, the only Mercedes in this race here. So 11 drivers confirmed to better than our 8 we had last week, which is brilliant. We've got a few more drivers in tonight, including the Gort, Tweeny Boy, obviously, Honey Badger, and the two Orchard who are joining us tonight. Tough to handle, coming back for a second race. Hopefully, he says, a better race than he had in Australia after he seems to struggle and a few bits of contact with other drivers, but still no action warranted from the steward's part. So, warming up the tyres is Vulcan, so we can see how Vulcan does on his first laps here in SpeedForce Racing. We'll try and stay off board, off the T-cam, purely because of that engine issue that we keep hearing about right now. It's a little bit of a pain, but that's the engine issue we have to deal with right now. Is the game. There was an update to the game if you didn't see the update. So any drivers that are wanting to race, make sure you've done the update to race if you are aiming to race next week in China, which I'll go into a little bit more detail later on in the Grand Prix as we now watch Vulcan line up to start his lap in the Renault. His first laps in SpeedForce Racing as he comes down now. Open DRS, heading onto his lap, and congratulations on your first drive here in SpeedForce Racing Vulcan. Do excuse me as I try and clear my throat. He's being followed by Hamilton. Hamilton, the driver who we know very well. He won in Brazil last season after a very tense race. Right at the end, he took a win, and a very well done to him as all the Premier drivers are out on track right now, barring Orchard Sox and Tweeny Boy, two of the new drivers who decided not to. David already on track himself. We'll have a look at them in a bit. We'll have a look in this qualifying section and focus on the new drivers, all the drivers we didn't see last week, which is, to be honest, a fair few of these guys. Sector 3, there's a yellow flag. I believe there's people getting out of the way, as that normally happens in qualifying sessions. So we're still winding up to see. It seems to be a pretty good lap from Vulcan. I keep wanting to call him Sayuza, but Sayuza isn't here. He's a championship leader though, and he isn't here tonight. So Vulcan with that engine issue. We're going to go on T-Cam just for a little bit. It seems to be drifting around. The fastest pole time in GP2 was a 1:27.0, which came out of absolutely nowhere from Gaming Things. So good shout out for Gaming Things, who had a brilliant qualifying session earlier in the day, this evening. And shall we see what the opening lap from Vulcan and Hamilton will be. Going to go down now to as Vulcan leads out the charge with a 1:26.4 already quicker, and Hamilton goes second with a 1:27.3. Look at Vulcan's time. So pretty much a second quicker than everyone else at this point in time, purely because no one else set laps yet. Here's the Toro Rosso driver of Honey Badger now. Car number 15 with the Honda engine, ploughing through the air, heading towards the final corner, already on his lap. So we'll see what he can do tonight. It's interesting that Vulcan has already gone quicker than... Oh, Honey Badger, big snap of oversteer from that car as he ends up almost ploughing into the wall, and he goes third thanks to that. And sector 3, there is an issue. I believe that is no one. Right now we're going to go actually on board with Orchard David, who has gone 1:31.9, which is a pretty tough, not poor start to his Premier Division run, but a tough one nonetheless. Sector 1 and 3, there's yellow flags. This driver's getting out of the way. We're on board now with the Williams of Tough to Handle. The only Williams in this race is Sayuza, that unfortunately isn't with us tonight. I'm not sure why he can't make it. That will be investigated soon. Still, whoa, even bigger snap from Tough to Handle as he's one of the for the fifth he got last week, which was a brilliant 5th place, but he's currently the only driver. It's currently the it's only the early days in the championship. Lots more races to go. Opening DRS now, about to cross the line, and he goes 5th. So we're going to go aboard now with Tweeny, who is setting a lap up with a very pale salmon-esque pink on his helmet. Maybe just a little bit more hot pink, mate. If you're watching about the stream, a little bit more hot pink. You've only the number 6 car, which was the same car as Josh Fletcher. So it's still got Force India able to keep the same number as Tweedy seems to be taking a pretty slow out lap to start with, and we've got engine issues on pretty much every car right now. Where's Orchard David? We're on board with Orchard David now, running a McLaren helmet, which he runs in another I commented on, crosses the line and goes 1/10 quicker, but still a little bit off the pace right now. Tough to handle. Oh, look at the engine glitches. Tell you what, Codemaster said they fixed it. That's a Ferrari coming in. I think that's a bit Carlos who's coming into pit lane. See if we can have a look. Yeah, that's Carlos into pit lane. What is this engine issue? Yeah, engine issues on I think every car. So we're going to try and stay off the onboard shots tonight, which is a little bit unfortunate because I don't want. I would like to be on the onboard shots, but we're not. As we watch, not Sayuza, Twinny Boy come round at about to set his lap time, running. I tell you what, a little bit more Pink Pig helmet from Lamar as he does an invalidated lap. We're going to go actually on board now with the Gort in the Renault. His first time out in Season 3. Welcome to Season 3, Gort. How are you doing, my friend? The number 6 Renault, pushing as hard as you can. Not pushing majorly hard on his out lap. What seemed to be the winning strategy in GP2 was the soft to medium run that spoiler winner of GP2 was, let's go watch by the stream, but a soft to medium run, I believe it was, from the Mercedes driver that won the Grand Prix back last session here in SpeedForce Racing. Is watching the Gort, who is winding up to start his lap now, his first laps in Season 3 in the Renault after missing Australia, which to be honest was pretty much of a bust, as we didn't have much battling on track and it was very wet, but the drivers were able to keep it very controlled, especially after an on-lap collision before turn 1 collision on lap 1 between Hamilton and Humbug, who previously drove the Renault but has since left us. Bidding congratulations to him. I believe that he finds the F1 games not really as fun as they used to be, and now he is ready to try other challenges. I believe he is. So his seat was given up for Vulcan, who is currently sat in pole position with 10 minutes left to go with the session. He is in pole position and he is going to be flying right now. Well, excuse the pun, as he is a Vulcan. So excuse me while I'm trying to move everything round. I'm just going to try and sort out people who are asking me questions at the same time. I need to get the channel login for someone that needs it. Burning my data up for this. See how much do people love me? The point that I burn up my data for everyone. The Gort taking quite a simple lap, not too much oversteer, not too much understeer, as he pushing now to do an initial lap on the super soft tyres on the side of that Renault car, sorry. So the only drivers not to set a lap yet are the Gort, who is currently on a lap, Orchard Sox, who has not left the pit lane yet, and SFR Chopper, who is pushing hard to set his lap now. We'll have a look at Chopper in a moment. Sector 2, we have a yellow flag. I hope that's not Chopper going for a spin. I believe it may have been, I don't know, it could be anyone at this rate. I just see the Gort now coming around to set his first laps. An incredibly fast driver opening DRS now, and he goes fourth. Well done to the Gort, who is having a good time on that car. On board now, or following the Ferrari of Chopper, as he's heading towards the final sector to set his lap. There is an auto spin curve at this corner, at this track, or well, as I call it, auto spin curve. If you if you turn the car too much, you eventually lose downforce and you spin out. And we saw, unfortunately, it claim a victim in the qualifying session from GP2 earlier tonight. But more importantly, here comes Chopper, about to set his lap time. DRS open on the Ferrari, crosses the line and goes 8th place. So this grid are just as competitive as you want it to be. So let's go on board with Orchard David, who's 2 tenths down right now, the car number 52 in the Sauber, who seems to be struggling on his first time out. But I know that David's racecraft is going to absolutely push for him to hopefully get a good result here in Bahrain. So initially, this is our first look at the grid. As we're waiting for Sox to come out, we've got CSR Vulcan in first position, then it's VSR Marquez, then Honey Badger, then the Gort, then Carlos GB and Tweeny in 6th. Then it's tough to handle, not too tough to handle, I kept getting his name wrong last week. Then it is Chopper, then CSR Hamilton, and Orchard David round up the top 10. Orchard Sox still yet to set a lap time, the other Sauber, as we listen to all the engines crying out in pain. So 2 seconds down is Chopper. He's on an in lap by the looks of it. Let's go on board with Honey Badger, who is on a fast lap himself on the soft tyres. That Toro Rosso sporting the Honda logos and the Honda ending in the back of it. He pulls into the pit lane, decides that enough is enough. That lap is useless. Is any driver on track? Carlos GB's on track. And oh, Carlos GB's lost it. Is that tyre coming off of the car? Oh, he's ploughed it into the wall. But crucially, he's still got the tyres on. So all they have to do is change the wing as he reverses onto track and keeps an eye out to see if anyone's coming. No one's coming, so he pushes hard now. He's go back into pit lane with 6 minutes and 30 seconds left of the session. Carlos GB is the only driver on track. Orchard Sox is now coming out, and he's on his initial laps in SpeedForce Racing, and he is going to hopefully go for some good runs. Hopefully get a good qualifying position, because 11th place, oh, he's cutting it fine. He's going out for a very offbeat set of times in qualifying. There he is, look at that. Little Alfa Romeo sponsor on the dashboard. And it seems that he is having a good time tonight. He's just, I tell you what, it's interesting to see these new drivers come in. Look at him warming the tyres up quite aggressively every corner. It's like he's on a formation lap as he gets ready, wearing that red and white helmet almost to match the car, a little bit too red to match the car. So I think it's down to the fact that he drives a Haas in another league. I also commented on, again, DM me if you want to know what that league is, and if you want to have a nose at some of their streams that I do all on my own now. All on my own, as my co-commentator decided that he didn't want to continue with commentary for me. Anyway, here comes Orchard Socks to start his first lap in SpeedForce Racing. He's the only driver without an engine issue as he gets ready, changes all his modes now to overtake mode and hot lap and hot lap mode 5 on his mode 4 on his fuel. I'm trying to remember how to run this game. I haven't played in this game myself. So we're going to do a lap now on around the circuit. DRS open now, heading into turn 1. Turn 1 and 2 can be taken in very different ways as he brakes now at the 100-meter board, and he decides to take the hit the apex way, which is careful not to hit the rear tyres on that apex or you will spin. So Orchard Socks nailing turns 1, 2 and 3, heading up to this curve, heading up the straight where Nico Rosberg controversially took a few defensive lines which were questionable. Through the S's now, the S is where I seem to struggle a lot on this game. Might be down to setup, but it might be down to the fact that I go in way too hot to see Orchard Socks basically backing off quite a bit. We're going to put on the heads-up display now and see what's happening on his car. So he's got the car in mode 5 with his ERS, which is non-optional really. You should really run that around every circuit, possibly except for Monaco, when you're trying to go for the fastest laps, as you don't want too much boost at Monaco. Now into sector 3, we saw Carlos make a mistake in sector 3. Hopefully Orchard Socks doesn't make the same mistake. Look at that, he keeps the wheel as straight as possible, minimal turns, minimal working of the wheel, as he throttle inputs just enough not to spin the wheels and enough to keep going as hard as he can. Sauber now aiming to set a precedent to prove who's quicker now, Orchard David or Orchard Socks. Quite a gap between Orchard David and Socks, which is unfortunate. DRS open, but Socks pulls into pit lane. He's not happy with that lap at all, which is unfortunate. So we go more with Honey Badger now, who still has that engine issue. Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm going to take the heads-up display off because we don't need that anymore, as Honey Badger now pushes to get past to get higher up the grid right now. He's in P3 right now. Yeah, qualifying is looking very close to Lee Carroll. Hello Lee, how are you? Right now qualifying very close between the top 3 cars, top 4 cars, top 5 cars, top 6 cars. There we go. I just looked at all the timings at once, and yes, that was very interesting. So Honey Badger peeling into the pit lane again. These drivers not happy with some of the laps they're doing. Gonna go on board with Vulcan now, who's on a lap an hour with 2 minutes 38 seconds left of the session. The number 22 Renault going around the corner. I do apologise if my voice breaks a little bit more than usual. I think I'm getting sick myself as Vulcan goes even quicker. A 1:26.1 for the Renault driver, and this is insane how much quicker he is. And he's retired. He's done. I'm absolutely done. That's the most I can do. As Hamilton, Marquez and Tweedy come out on their first couple of laps, maybe coordinating a bit of a tow for Marquez. So playing ball as the Force India drivers right now. You see a fair few drivers now coming out. I think that's Orchard Socks in the yeah, don't want to do that. Orchard Socks in the oh wait, where's David then? David's into the final corner now. He's set his lap time on the soft tyres. But across the line, opening DRS. He is committing to this lap. He crosses the line now, and he goes a second off, which is unfortunate for David. He seems to be struggling here at Bahrain. After I remember, he took pole position in another league, so maybe that the transition since then, track conditions just aren't the same, as his can't quite find the speed right now. See on board with Tough now. He's got to negotiate traffic on his lap. He's on a quick lap though, so he's got to negotiate traffic and think about what he's doing, not push too hard and take people out. Obviously you don't want to do that, as he pushes now towards the final sector of the day here with 1 minute left to go of the session, Lots of people out on track getting ready to set their final laps of the Grand Prix. The final laps of the Grand Prix, final laps of qualifying. Yellow flags in sector 2. I'm not sure who that is. I'm not going to go on board because that sound is horrific. So it's coming up to 9:10 here in the UK. I'm going to keep mentioning the time because I'm very tired. But I'm not going to stop talking either way. It's tough to handle and trying to prove that he can race in this league once more after his brilliant drive into P5 last race. DRS not opening on the swine DRS over, but he's shifted up one position into P6 as Marquez retires from the session. Can't do any better than P2 tonight. The Gort is in P4. He's currently on a lap. So you're going to stay on board here. Oh, that's why Marquez is out. He's crashed. Has he crashed himself out is the question. Because unless he got seriously wrong, I'd like to see what happened there. Sector 3, there's a yellow flag. I believe it's a driver letting people through if they're not on laps. 4-3, the Gore's retired. 2-1, and that is it for qualifying here in the Premier Division. And that went a whole lot quicker than I feel it did in GP2 as Chopper retired. So, lots of drivers unable to improve, but by the looks of it, Carlos is still confident, thinking he can. So, is Carlos going to be the driver to take pole position away from Vulcan, who's had it since literally lap 1? We'll find out in a fair few corners time. Literally just going over half distance of the circuit as... Whoa, little slide for the Ferrari driver. Number 72 pushing as hard as he can. '73, I apologise for not being able to tell numbers at the current position. I'm currently lay on my bed, commentating, lay down tonight, because I'm feeling quite ill. Tweedy Boy completes his lap and goes 7th, and Orchard Sox goes 10th ahead of his teammate Orchard David. And he's only just in there on the soft tyres, so that is good for Sox going into 10th place, and two Saubers, starting at the back of the grid. Normally it's McLaren's down there, but no McLaren's in this grid tonight. So Carlos GB, is he going to be able to go quicker than the Gord? He does. He goes P2. Well done, Carlos. Out of nowhere, he goes P2. But Honey Badger's still on a lap. Honey Badger going even wider there. That may have cost him his lap in general. Okay, so is Honey Badger going to be able to spoil everyone's party and go P1? We shall see. He has not done much practice, I believe, for this circuit. He's coming down towards the start-finish line now, and he goes... I don't know where he's gone. Don't know where he's gone at all. He's gone 4th. So he's spoiled Marquez's party, but he's still behind the top one. So that's 3rd row as we see the confirmation now. I'm just going to grab my tablet so I can read the chat. If you put anything in chat, Ask JB is open. Drop me any question. I'm not going to do the gut size joke again because I did it already in GP2 and I didn't get any laughs whatsoever. So there is the grid now. The Britain stands on pole for 2 for 2 for Britain in SpeedForce Racing tonight as CSR Vulcan, takes pole position ahead of Carlos GB, ahead of VSR Marquez, ahead of Honey Badger, who's ahead of the Gorts in P5, and ahead of Tough to Handle in P6, ahead of Tweedy Boy, SFR Chopper, and CSR Hamilton in 7th, 8th, and 9th. Orchard Sox in 10th, and Orchard David in P11. As I start to go into an Irish accent, which is potentially a tough thing for me to continue. I won't be able to do the whole stream like this. As I hit the wrong button again, I think I've done it 2 weeks in a row now. I've hit the button wrong. Name me Twanny. I will name you Twanny. Hello, mate. Twanny sounds good. Twanny is a... I'm going to laugh each time I say that now. Twanny! Twanny, Twanny. If I say it multiple times, it won't affect me. He says. Twanny. I'm such a child. So, an hour of racing ahead of us here in SpeedForce Racing, the Premier Division, as people line up to start their strategy. It'll be interesting to see what Orchard David does, being outside the top 10 right now as we get ready for the race. Obviously, no soft tyres, no wet tyres available in this race. Did we get another message? No problem. So, getting ready to start this Grand Prix. It'll be very interesting to see what everything happens. So Twanny saying that his starts are bad as we watch the drivers get ready to go onto the formation lap here on board with... Why can't I change? I can't go into broadcast camera for that reason. Why is that not working? Okay, this is going to be a very interesting start then, because I can't go into broadcast camera. There we go. Got it. Do apologise, I don't know what happened there. That's a new one. So let's have a look at strategy right now, as everyone's on the super soft tyres except for the two at the bottom who are on the soft tyres. So watch out for them later on in the Grand Prix. Let's go through it now. CSR Vulcan on pole position for the Renault team, ahead of Carlos GB, the first starting Ferrari driver, ahead of VSR Marquez, who should be ahead of Honey Badger in P4, but he has been disqualified. And then is P5 is the Gort, who should be ahead of Tough to Handle, and 20, who is in P6 and P7, but they are on the grid now waiting. Then it's SFR Chopper in 8th. Then it is CSR Hamilton in 9th, ahead of Orchard Sox, who is ahead of Orchard David, his teammate and friend. So look at them weaving now, pushing for it. 11 drivers for 29 laps here in SpeedForce Racing Premier Division. If you think you're fast enough, come over and give us a chance, and we will see where we can put you, either in GP2 or in the Premier Division, who desperately need drivers, because we are going to have a fun race here as we're looking at a fair few drivers who are going to be absolutely going nuts. Yeah, don't burn up your tyres 20 into turn 1. That's what you don't want to do. Turn 1 in Bahrain breeds a lot of chaos, as I've learnt quite vividly and quite a lot recently in racing. Don't go into turn 1 too hard at Bahrain. I was taken out in a league called Super Formula I raced in a while back, and I think there was quite... both 4 kids are disqualified for the session disappearing on the track. Most people disqualify on the session as we get ready here for lap 1 lights out. So, not much of a good camera angle here as we're looking at the drivers trying to find a good camera angle. Getting ready for lights out here. We see the lights going to be absolutely lighting up. Though we can't see them right now. Engine notes rise, and they're underway right now. No lights. Oh, and there's a Toro Rosso. No, it's a Williams who's already broken his wing. It looks like he was rear-ended. There was no note about any engine issue, any penalties at the start. So Marquez already going for it. Carlos GB into the lead from Vulcan, who struggled off the start. The biggest loser right now is Tough to Handle, who had to... Whoa, what is that defense there from Marquez, who's trying to hold back Vulcan behind him? And that was a hefty start to the Grand Prix. I've got no sound from the game right now. There it is, it's come back to me. What went on there? It's such a tight grid. And oh no, Marquez has lost it. He's in the wall. It's Marquez out of the Grand Prix. Marquez is still going. Thank God for that. We've got Marquez still in the Grand Prix, and that was fantastic. Well, not fantastic. That was horrific what happened there. As all the drivers stream onto the DRS straight now. Honey Badger trying to close up on past the Gort, who's in P3 right now, trying to spoil the Gort's party, but he tries not to, running wide off the track, a little bit too far off the track for my liking now. Let's come round up. Here is the Gort able to defend. This is turning into a very difficult Grand Prix, as Orchard Sox is the only driver to stay in one position. No, not the only driver, as Carlos GB is up 1 position in his reign as well into P1. Going to stay on board though with CSR Hamilton. He tries to take it back. A quick driver over 1 lap, but it seemed to struggle off the start. So let's run through the order right now. It's Carlos GB ahead of CSR Vulcan, ahead of the Gort, ahead of Honey Badger, ahead of 20, ahead of Chopper, ahead of Hamilton, ahead of Tough, ahead of David, and then Sox, and then Marquez, who had a major issue. So into turn 1, there's been a move. I'm not sure who that is. I believe it is 20 on Chopper. They're going for it as hard as they can, and 20 seems to just be running Chopper out of road just enough for no contact by the looks of it, as they go forward and push as hard as they can. 20 still trying to stay ahead, and Hamilton, look at that, Chopper even coming back at 20, trying to get past him, and that's a Sauber getting close to the end of the track, but managing to keep it on the track. We're going to pop on our tyre challenge now, as we know that Marquez is the only driver to make a stop, and he's still in the pit lane right now. The closest battle on track is Tough, trying to catch up to these guys and trying to defend at the same time from David, who is trying to push down. David deciding not to go for a move there. He's having a look. So you are singing everywhere. Hamilton has gone straight on at turn Marquez, sorry, has gone straight on, and that is questionable. You are not allowed in SpeedForce Racing to crash yourself out, and I have a feeling that's exactly what he's done there. So that should be a big penalty for him, unfortunately. But that's how it goes in SpeedForce Racing. If you crash yourself out, that's what happens. Here comes Vulcan, though. This is the race for the lead we've been wanting for 2 laps, and Vulcan is coming for it again to try and pass Carlos for P1. Ferrari wanting a win here as Sauber, oh, Honey Badger's gone! Honey Badger's out of this session after a big snap of oversteer. There's 2 drivers out already here in SpeedForce Racing. But more importantly, Vulcan's going down the inside. Down the inside, Carlos, he chucks it out the inside, locks up and knocks Carlos out. Carlos now still there. Carlos returning to favor. Carlos is giving it room. Look at this madness as I feel my throat ripping up already. Here comes Carlos. Vulcan staying around the inside. Marquez has left the session after crashing himself out, and they continue along now. Look at that, Vulcan reclaiming P1. And the Gort, his teammate, now trying to follow through and make it around a 1-2 here in Bahrain on lap 3. This could happen. This could have disastrous consequences for Ferrari's charge in the championship. As one driver in 5th place, one driver in possibly 3rd place at the moment. We shall see what's going to happen. DRS enabled on both cars now. And you see how much quicker Carlos is in a straight line. Then the Gort, as he just has a setup that sort of suits the car a little bit more. As I feel like I've really ripped up my throat, which is not a good thing on lap 3 when we have 29 laps of racing. But, oh, tough to handle, locking up, trying to defend from Orchard David now, as they're pushing hard now to try and battle. They're battling for peanuts, really, just for a little bit less of points than you would get for higher up the position. But it's only lap 3, and they can push hard and go as long as they can, and try and go for higher points later on in the race. Here's Hamilton now trying to pass Chopper. He's taking some great lines right now. So, just a messy start as GP2, I believe, right now, as Chopper getting lined up on. Chopper with no defence whatsoever, no DRS, no anything. This is going to be an interesting move. Hamilton pulls to the inside, has a look, and he's gone for it. Daniel Ricciardo dive bomb. He's trying to run the Ferrari out. And look at that, Chopper not faulting his line at all. Tough to handle, has lost the position to Orchard David as well. So, tonight, it is a very good race between everyone. And very much so at the top of the grid as well, as they all pushing for it. And let's have a look here at these two. No real dangers here as Orchard Sox starts to close up on these guys themselves. Going to keep an eye on the closest battle on track. I believe it will be these guys after that big lock-up from Tough to Handle as he tries to go forwards. My voice is now suffering a little bit more from that lap 3 move from CSR Vulcan, which had a brilliant move, as you see. Tough to Handle now trying to power after Orchard David, who's just left him for dust at this point in time. Do apologise if my voice starts to struggle. I haven't got any water with me tonight because it was too much of a rush between sessions to get it. As you see, Carlos now trying to close up on Vulcan. Vulcan having some incredible straight line speed, but Carlos having the slipstream, and he'll have the DRS, and he has his ERS all primed for use. As we're going to get ready, we're going to put up the heads-up display on Carlos and see what he's going to use. He's got 50% ERS. He's in high mode. He's starting to close up. And what is Vulcan doing now? He's moving around a lot on track, which is questionable, because within a second, I would argue that's weaving on the track. That obviously will be looked at by the stewards later on tonight, as we start to look at here. CSR Hamilton once again trying to come back at Chopper. But these two are going to be going through a long race. It's Tough to Handle as the first driver to pit after the two that have crashed out, and that is unfortunate for Tough. And Chopper and Hamilton are going at it once more. Chopper are getting passed by the Mercedes of Hamilton. That is a name that we're normally used to seeing in Formula 1, and in SpeedForce Racing, definitely something you're used to seeing. A Mercedes driver and a Ferrari driver going straight at it, and that one called Hamilton, just not necessarily one called Chopper, but still a white helmet in the Ferrari nonetheless. So here's Carlos now trying to close up and pass Vulcan, sorry, as I try and put my teeth in and remember how to speak in English. As, whoa, what's happened here? Orchard David has absolutely shot past everyone. The man who started in 11th place is up into 5th place, and is proving why he's a premier driver tonight. Qualifying might not go on his way, but in a fair few laps, he's all the way up there, past up to Chopper. What happened with Chopper is what I want to know, because he's now dropped down into clutches of Orchard Sox. Oh, he's having a look. Is Orchard Socks going on board with the Sauber driver? It's a drag race. Who's quicker, Ferrari or Sauber? Right now, it looks to be Sauber. But who's quicker on the brakes? Who's braver on the brakes? It's the Sauber. He cuts the corner now. Ooh, that's questionable whether he should hand that back that position or not. But he was ahead into braking zone, so I assume not. But DRS open on the Ferrari. Here comes Chopper, trying to move down the inside. Orchard Socks squeezing him towards the wall. But a pretty clean-cut move with DRS and ERS in full swing. Whoa, duel in the desert, beginning with two different cars rather than Mercedes, and rather than two Mercedes this time. So CSR Hamilton closing up on Orchard David. Orchard David defending very well from Hamilton, saying, no, you got to work for it if you want to pass me. Sauber might not be the quickest car on the grid, but it's damn right the prettiest. Look at that, he's holding it very well against the put him a test there. I think he's Liechtenstein. You know what? I have to ask him what the nationality he would be known as I'm English. Because everyone knows I'm English, so I sound a bit posh. So closing up now, and oh, Chopper's back end, not behaving on the Ferrari as he's passed Orchard Socks again. Orchard Socks now is powering past him because of that big snap of oversteer and understeer from the car. As you see now, Hamilton trying to close up on Orchard David. So this is good. You're getting interesting when I start to get the names confused. Alright, just taking 2 seconds to take a breather. Myself is going to go on board now with Orchard CSR Hamilton, the man with the gold helmet, starts to close in. And, oh no, David into the pit lane. What's happened here? David, has he got a new front wing? No, he isn't, sorry. He was following Tweeny, who was in for a first lap stop. Seventh lap stop, as you see. Look how much braver Hamilton is on the brakes, as I try and remember what they're called. Do apologise tonight. My brain's a little bit frazzled, and I think my back pain is starting to take full effect over my commentary as I can't talk. But anyway, the 88 Ferrari Mercedes, it's a Mercedes, it's Sauber, you idiot, is pushing towards the Sauber, who I cannot forget what the Sauber looks like, because look how beautiful that Sauber is. Obviously, Sauber confirming their Formula One drivers for 2019 pretty early on, well, not pretty early on, with Kimi Räikkönen taking one seat and Antonio Giovinazzi, the first Italian driver. Is it 2011? I think Liuzzi was the last Italian driver to be in Formula One. Just spouting off Formula One knowledge at this point. Closest battle on track is not these guys anymore. It is back up here to Carlos, who's trying to hold his own against Vulcan, and he's still there. He's doing good, but he's obviously they're shredding his tyres in the back end, in the dirty air of that Renault. And that Renault seems to be very controlled now as they head towards the 8th lap of the Grand Prix, leaving us with a fair few to go. I'm not even going to try. Oh, that's a big... What is happening with the wing mirror there on the Ferrari? Ferrari testing a new style of wing mirror, being able to see several different things at once by flashing it. So, hashtag AskJB is open. If you have any questions, put them in the chat. Still not going to do the cup-size joke again because it's too much effort at this rate. I will not lie to you, ladies and gentlemen who are watching. I am a little bit tired tonight, and that's probably down to the fact that I've had a very stressful day at college. But you know what calms me down? A little bit of SpeedForce racing, where I will sit here and talk for 2 hours at a twaddle and join us every week until we finish our 21 race calendar here in the 2018 game, and then we'll hopefully have a look at the second season on this game. As you see, Vulcan making a little bit of a mistake, and Carlos pushing like mad. You can tell how much he wants this P1. You can tell it. Carlos seems to be a brilliant starter, but during the race he's starting to fall away. But he's doing a grand job right now for Ferrari, being the head Ferrari driver, as his teammate is already pitted early, pitted on lap 7 for the medium tyres. Oh, he's in the wall, no! Carlos is in the wall. I looked down and he's lost it. And oh, no! Oh, dear. Why do I always miss these things? So Carlos GB in the wall, and as I said it, I commented, cursed him, saying that he was doing a great job for the lead Ferrari team, and he has done a great job. But now putting into the pit lane early, alongside the Gort, alongside CSR Hamilton. No! Both Renaults making a big mistake, double stacking. No! The Gort race has been ruined by this. And this is unfortunate now as we look at the Gort in the pit lane, and he is going to be fuming. Why didn't you tell me? And now I'm stuck even behind the Mercedes of Hamilton, who's already pitted. Oh, dearie, dearie me. This has gone nuts, and I've just been asked a RCB question. Will Chopper go right to the end of these mediums? I believe he will do on those mediums if he doesn't have an issue later on in the race. That's 20 closing up now on the Gort, who's going to be fuming around the team. Why did you bring me in? Why did you bring me in? Why did you bring me in the same lap as him? That's not fair. The Englishman about to be passed by the Dutch driver, pulling to the inside early. The Dutch driver already on worn soft tyres, but look at that inspired move from the Force India driver, the lone Force India driver tonight, as he pushes on to prove himself against everyone else in this amazing league. And now the Gort is trying to close up to him, but too tough to handle is now trying to stay ahead of tyre banging between the Mercedes of Hamilton and tough to handle the Williams. And I think that's amazing that you can say that the Williams is fighting for points, because I'm so heartbroken that it's not doing it. But look who's there. That's Carlos, who had that tremendous crash. Has he changed his front wing, or is he not? He has changed his front wing, I think. Yeah, he has. That very distinctive red front wing on the front of that Ferrari starting to shine as it does all of its work trying to close up on Hamilton. And right now Carlos seems to be the quicker driver out of the two of these. Welcome to SpeedForce Racing, the Premier Division. This is what Prem should be like, unlike what we had last week, where we had 5 drivers finish the race in a very wet race. This is it. Full on battles from start to the finish, and enough things to ruin my voice as per normal. You see Hamilton is going to be opening DRS on tough to handle, but Carlos is going to have more DRS. This is going to be a drag strip. Ferrari versus Mercedes. Ferrari, is he going to try it? He does. He pulls to the inside. He has a look to try and put Hamilton off, and I tell you what, I think it did just a little bit put Hamilton, a normally calm driver, out of position. And look at that, it's affected his run all the way up here, as you see Carlos pulling to the inside, pulling to the outside. Look at that. How many moves does Hamilton want to make? That might be questionable, as Honey Badger leaves the session after unfortunately crashing out pretty heavily on lap 2 of the Grand Prix. And that's Toro Rosso's second. No points for Toro Rosso today after a second place with Ramovaj last week, who unfortunately couldn't be with us due to, I think, work restraints or college restraints, one of the two. Sector 2, yellow flags. That's Chopper! That's Chopper! Oh dear! Chopper's lost it. I think at the S is where Marquez lost it on lap 1. Oh dear. 8 drivers now driving on lap 10 here in the Premier Division, as you see Hamilton closing up on tough to handle, who has Hamilton is dragging Carlos with him too. Look how much closer Carlos is, but it seems that Carlos, much like the Mercedes in real life, as Orchard Sox pulls into the pit lane. Look at that, Orchard David and Orchard Sox, who 10th and 11th are currently leading the Grand Prix, though granted they haven't stopped yet. Alright, tough to handle's tyres seem to be starting to struggle on lap 5 as we see everyone pushing towards it. Is it going to be a 3-car ride as Hamilton goes fast, as Carlos goes even faster as they start to dive it? Who's going to be braver on the brakes? Is it Hamilton? No, yeah, it's Hamilton going around the outside of the Williams, or at least tries to, as Chopper these sessions, but he's been put offline, and Carlos says thank you very much. I'll take that 6th place. I'll take that, and now I'm going to have a crack at the Williams now. Is he going to have a crack into this corner? He decides not to, and the Williams locking up further as tough to handle is absolutely pushing like mad to try and stay ahead of all of these drivers who have proven themselves. And Tough is not a slow driver nonetheless, but no one is going to be able to soak up the pressure more than Tough right now, as he has got the world in his balance. He's got a Ferrari and he's following him. If this weren't an equal cost, oh, very close, even closer as Hamilton dives off track after locking up. Look at that perfect plan for Hamilton there, darting right off the track, knowing that he can't hit into the back of someone else, or that would be an instant penalty for the stewards, especially one being caught on stream. And Orchard Sox starting to close up on Hamilton. That's just down to Hamilton making that huge mistake because he locked him before. Get off track, I can't crash into them. Currently the closest driver on the track is actually De Gort versus Twinny, as Twinny is trying to defend for P3. Vulcan will be regaining the lead of the race in a moment ahead of Orchard David, who will hopefully gain some positions from pitting later than everyone else, getting the undercut on everyone else. Or the overcut on everyone else, sorry, as my voice goes. 20 pulling defensive instantly. Here comes the Gort though, going... Is he going to go even further? Snaps round to the outside. You see Carlos in the background. 2 moves in 1. Contact between the Force India, bumping the Renault a little bit. See Carlos into turn 1, comfortably ahead of Tough to Handle. As the Gort now is going to be a little bit angry that there was a bit of contact between the 2 drivers. Between him and Twani. Twani defending very well for P3. But he hasn't stopped yet versus the Gort, who has onto medium tyres. See that following, the Gort seems to be able to follow a little bit more, and Tough to Handle, sorry, is able to follow a lot better than other cars in that S's section. So these cars being more set up for the corners where they know they can gain time and slingshot out onto the straight and get pushed into it. So DRS is going to open on the Renault now. You see it opening on the Ferrari as well. Here comes Carlos though. Is Carlos going to be brave enough to take a move on the Renault? It seems that he's not going to even be close enough to have a try yet. So on lap 12 right now, the grid stands like this. CSR, Vulcan ahead of Orchard David, the man who started in 11th place, who has got the strategy right now. But Twani's made a mistake. Here comes the Gort. Is it going to be the Gort for P3 or Twani into the final corner? Is it going to be Carlos even, who is pushing hard after a big mistake? And look at that, Twani's ran him out of road, and that was totally unfair. No, that's very bad contact. Always leave a car's width between it, and the Gort is going to be very angry. He pushed me off the track. He pushed me out, and that's exactly what he did. As Twani's going to try for a dive bomb. He's tried very hard for a dive bomb. He's not overcooked it at all. The Gort, not the Gort, sorry, Carlos fighting back. Big battles between pink and red. Flashes of pink, red, and sometimes yellow, who's now behind white. I'm running out of colours. And Twani over defending a little bit ahead of these drivers as Carlos trying to push now. So all of these drivers from 3rd down to 7th is now covered by less than a second. And absolutely, Twani getting tagged in the back by Carlos, who's broken his front wing on the back of the Force India. And that is frustration between Carlos, who's saying he's not doing it right. He is. He's cutting right across everyone's noses. He's lost the back end, and that is causing everyone to lose a lot of momentum. Carlos pulls on the inside. No, Twani, no. That, and I will... No, Twani! That will be an instant penalty for Twani, as he has just crashed out Carlos GB on stream. I'm sorry, Twani, but that was out of order. That was absolutely out of order, what you did there. And I think that is going to be a very interesting time. No. Give me a moment. I'm going to have to open the chat. I don't want to do this on stream, but I'm going to. Twani, I'm going to have to ask you. Okay, that's Twani leaving the session. And that is, unfortunately... Yep, I've just had confirmation from the admins. That was such a disgusting move that Twani has been removed instantly from the league. That was totally uncalled for, what happened there, and we apologise that you saw that on the stream. That is not what we see as Premier drivers here in SpeedForce Racing, and that is disgusting. I don't like to use that word a lot, and that just you can't defend like that, over defending every corner, and it just... Oh dear. It's such a shame, because he had potential. He's doing a great job of defending, but he was over defending quite a bit, and that move there when he crashed out Carlos was uncalled for, and I believe is owed an apology to everyone else. And I apologise on behalf of the league that happened on stream, and I was watching it. Well, not that I apologise for watching it, I apologise in general for the lack of driver standards right there. Still, life goes on, as you see now. Hamilton trying to gain time on the Gort once more. Trying to gain time on Tough to Handle ahead of Hamilton on track. I've had my little rant. I do apologise for all that. So Tough running off the track, the Gort following in. That's the most frustrating thing for drivers, thinking, no, it's a video game. I don't need to do that in real. I would do that in real life, yes, but it shows the Gort is able to catch up just a little bit because the soft tyres wearing a little bit more on the soft car, on the soft tire, on the Williams car, not the soft car, as Hamilton becomes the fastest man on track with a 1:30.6. Is he going to try a dive bomb? Mr. Gort going to have a look for a dive bomb? He does not. He does. He's had to go for it. I think that's because Tough broke a little bit earlier than he thought he would. And Hamilton is going to be thinking, thank my lucky stars, these two are going to take each other out if they're not careful. And they are absolutely going at it. They've got to remember, though, driver standards always leave a width, car's width between you guys if possible. Try not to go too close to each other, as well, as we saw earlier on in the Grand Prix. That happens. And it's such a shame that we will have 6 drivers finishing. Oh, contact now! Rear-ending is the Renault, rear-ending the Williams there. Tough to handle, doing a fantastic job of defending against everyone else. And it seems that he's just... Oh, look at that. He's able to control the pace and slow everyone down in the corners enough for him to power out of it at normal speed. And he's just... His setup is almost perfect for this race. Look at that. So, messy races all round in Bahrain. From GP2 to Prem, so far we've lost Carlos GB after a spectacular incident with Twani, who has been removed from the league entirely now. Then it's SFR Chopper, who I believe crashed out, where Marquez had an incident in lap 1 ahead of Honey Badger, who crashed out on lap 1, and Marquez, who I believe crashed himself out. I do apologise if that is totally wrong what I'm saying, but from the angle I saw, I believe he did. Tough to handle now defending from the Gort, who is having to defend and attack from Hamilton, but he's closer to Tough to handle. Is he going to try a Danny Rick style dive bomb? He does. Danny Rick may be driving that Renault next year, but this time it's the Gort driving it, and the Gort, oh, he's cut that corner pretty heavily. He didn't have anywhere to go, to be honest. If he had tried to take the corner properly, he probably would have chopped the back end off the Williams there. So, you see the Gort, he's gone a little overcooked it into turn 4, I believe that number is. It's so terrible. I need to get a track map up every week. So here's Hamilton. Is Hamilton going to be the man to take a move and go for P4? This is a very interesting race so far. Look at this. The man who started in 11th position is currently in P2, and it's done fantastically. Hamilton now trying to drifting through the corners, as only Hamilton can do, as he tries to close up on the Gort. But the Gort having some amazing straight line speed tonight, and showing that he is doing a great job for P4 tonight. Starting to close up on Tough to handle. I am clicking the wrong person because I wanted to click the Gort. I'm a little bit further away from the TV than earlier, so that's just down to my eyesight being absolutely awful. So pulling now further around onto lap 17 for these gentlemen here, as they're heading towards not half race distance. I think we passed half race distance. I'm so awful at numbers that I can't even tell that now. Hamilton and the Gort still behind Tough to handle, and Tough to handle is doing a fantastic job of defending. Oh, Hamilton out of nowhere down the inside of the Gort. Absolutely, and the Gort are cutting that corner one too many more times, and that's an instant penalty for him. So aggressive defending from the Gort, much like Nico Rosberg, running number 6 in that car, just like Nico Rosberg. And Hamilton, no. Hamilton, much like Lewis Hamilton, that battling each other, but Hamilton proving that he had the better run through there, and he did. And the Gort conceding the position to him, knowing that the Gort probably, that defensive move was a bit questionable. Now Hamilton sets his sight on 3rd place. Tough to handle, a character who is apparently tough to overtake as well as tough to handle. But is the Gort done? Is the Renault done? He's done 8 laps on these tyres, the same as Hamilton. And I tell you what, the team going in at the same time as Vulcan, that is what's absolutely put him in this position. Unfortunately, he is in a rough position trying to overtake everyone, as I'm getting messages all the time on my phone. I really need to stop looking at it, but you know. Okay, Hamilton and the Gort are the closest battle on track. The Gort in the Renault, Hamilton in the Mercedes. Really questionable. Would you see Hamilton in another car apart from McLaren? Probably not. Not anymore. I don't think Ferrari would ever take him, as they've got their little Charles Leclerc ready for Formula 1, ready to hopefully take the World Championship by storm next year in Formula 1. I'm a little bit of a Charles fanboy, though in my love will always be Esteban Ocon, who I'm a little bit worried that he's going to have a year out, and he's going to lose momentum with his speed, which is going to suck for Esteban as the drivers start to peel away from each other a little bit on the track. I'm going to start talking absolute twaddle all the time, as I normally do, getting messages from many other people now. This is what I do every night, every Wednesday night I do commentary. If you feel like having a go and listening to me commentate over you, head over to SpeedForce Racing on Facebook, SpeedForce Racing PS4, to drop us a message, and we'll try and get you into either GP2 or Formula 1 or what's it called? Premier, which is racing right now. I can't even remember names. Premier, who are racing right now and showing us what they can do. We have open spots in a fair few cars. The Hasses, the McLarens in Premier. Sorry, they have the Hasses open, the McLarens open, and One Force India open. After quite a, well, if you want to know what happened, look back further at the stream, because that. That was an interesting one. So, Hamilton had broken away from the Gore enough that he can start focusing on only Tough. These two had a few tussles last race, and hopefully, as Tough pulls into the defensive line to pull into the pit lane, and Tough deciding that he's done enough on these tyres, going for his first and only stop on lap 19 here. So with 11 laps to go of the Grand Prix, I think Tough is going to be the fastest man on track right now. So the closest battle on track is the Gort now, and Hamilton. The Gort has been seems to have struggled to overtake people at this point, which is a shame, because he normally what am I doing? He's normally able to close up on everyone a little bit. So it seems that his setup in Bahrain just isn't the best of following cars. It's quick, but it seems to be struggling to follow cars. Or he might have just lost momentum in this race. Obviously, this is his first race in season 4, sorry, and Hamilton locking up into that corner as you do. That corner very difficult to not lock up into half the time anyway. So he's pushing hard. The Gort is now trying to close up on him. You know what? While we have 5 minutes, let's go through the grid. Cars. At the top is another Renault of CSR Vulcan, his first race tonight. Also heading another man's first race. That's Orchard David, who started in 11th position. Let's just get the confirmation with that. Look at that, he's up 9 positions into P2. So he's currently running in a crisp P2, having a good time. 5 seconds ahead of this man here, CSR Hamilton, ahead of the Gort by 1.5 seconds. Then it's Orchard Sox, the other Sauber, pushing hard, having a nice race on his own right now. There's Tough to Handle, who's the latest driver to pit, and he's got the youngest tyres on by a mile, and he's the only driver to finish this race. The only driver to finish the race. That's not fair, because everyone else hasn't finished it, obviously. He's the only driver to score. He'll be scoring the last points, and that's 6 drivers finishing this race. Twanny here has been removed from the league, and he will not be seen again on SpeedForce Racing, and he will be on the blacklist for that awful incident with Carlos, which absolutely wasn't fair. So, as we're looking at the Gort, they're all pushing hard now to continue. As my friend texts me, I'm trying hard to ignore it because I adore her, but I'm trying to be on commentary. I won't tell you. I've just told her to, why am I trying to tell you what I'm trying to say? I don't know what I'm about, to be honest. To be honest, right, today, I'm at the point where, sector 2 and 3, who is that? That's ahead of them, that is, who was that? Oh no, that's Orchard David who's made a mistake. Orchard David's made a huge mistake and he's dropped down to P3. Has his tyre, did he? Oh, there's no damage on the Sauber. He's dropped to P3 now, and he's got to defend from the Gort, who's a fast charging driver. He's had a rejuvenation in power now on that Renault. He's gone, hold on, there's someone ahead of me now. I can get closer. DRS open on the Renault as he tries to close in onto the Sauber. He's got DRS open, ERS flowing, electrical energy shooting through as he heads towards the Sauber's back end. Is he going to be brave enough round the outside? He is. He's had a look, trying to switch back into the inside to make it onto the outside of the next corner, but he doesn't. Going to be now a run into the next, up onto the next corner where Rosberg made a mistake. Is the Gort going to be quick enough? He's having a look down the inside of Orchard David. Orchard David proving that he can defend against him in this league. They're going to go side by side through towards the S's, but the Gort pulling out everything. No, I'm not done. I've done this before. I'm not doing this again. Look at that. The Gort has just smells attempt at the podium. That might have been the just a little lapse in concentration for the Sauber driver that's dropped him down to P3. But still, nonetheless, a brilliant job for Sauber right now as he's defending well from the Gort. And obviously, from what I see, David doesn't have any penalty, so he is still comfortably in P3, even if the Gort does pass him. But the Gort just can't follow right now with that car. That Renault is struggling quite a lot to follow. So, CSR 1-2 right now in the teams, though those three letters in SpeedForce Racing mean absolutely nothing for the championship. Right now, Hamilton will go absolutely hammer and tong, no matter what he's told by the team, by the esports team. He will go hammer and tong to race, unless Vulcan suddenly in a Mercedes, which won't happen. There will be no changes there unless it's a racing speed. But right now, the only change at racing speed that may happen is the Gort closing in on Orchard David. He's having a look, but he decides not to go for a Danny Rick dive bomb. But he's gained quite a lot of time though in that turn one, because David decided to pop his wheel up onto the side. That's tough to handle now, trying to close up. He's 12 seconds behind Sox. It might be durable. I'm not too sure. See what the gap is. It seems that Sox's tyres are pretty okay right now, as he's floating around just on his own in no man's land. As David, his teammate, is defending from the Gort very well, if you ask me. Some of the brightest defending in SpeedForce Racing at this point in time, as they head towards the end of this lap. Sorry, lap 22 right now in SpeedForce Racing Premier Division here in Bahrain. Not a night race as such. It seems that we've gone for a random session in the day here, so I quite like it, switching up the sessions quite a bit. I think it's only just for this week in Bahrain, as we decided not to run the same as normal. It seems to always be the same at Bahrain. I quite like it during the day. I quite like this time of day for Bahrain. Is kind of nice just for the pushing of it, you know. Just for racing in the late evening, bit cold pint in your hand, sat there. I don't know why I always bring up drinking when I'm on stream, because I don't drink. I'm never going to drink. There's no real point in it. DRS open on the Renault now as he's heading down towards turn one. David going defensive, but decides, yeah, he's still staying defensive, but decides that he's not going to make a move there. So the Gort can still smell that podium. But, oh, David, that was a mistake from the car. Snap of oversteer. It's almost sending him into the wall. Now the Gort's going to try. He's got to try. He's 2 tenths there, 1 tenth there. This is going to be biblical if there's a move in the S's. He's had a look, but he's decided not to. The Gort taking a very gentlemanly approach tonight. No, you go ahead. No, you go ahead. But he's going to start going a bit more ferocious in the dying laps of this Grand Prix. The Gort on older tyres, though. So those tyres are going to start hitting the cliff ever so slightly soon. Just taking 2 seconds to breathe as here comes David coming past us now, then the Gort, as David trying to defend from him, and right now he's doing a brilliant job. Both these drivers doing a good job at defending from each other in this Grand Prix. Unfortunately, we only have 6 drivers at the six drivers. I start moulding several different languages there, between German and I think a bit of Spanish as well in there. Not too sure, but only 6 drivers racing after a fair few collisions earlier in the Grand Prix. We're on lap 24 now, heading to lap 25 ever so slightly soon, but the closest battle on track is still between the Gort and Orchard David. Orchard David seems to be able to defend very well, but DRS is more active now. The David having to go much more defensive, and the Gort just opening everything up. These two race each other in another league, which I commented on. Again, DM me if you want to know. I will not say it live on stream, unless it's in the names, which it isn't. Here comes the Gort. He's going to have a look at him down the inside. He doesn't. See now, the Gort is using all of his experience, knowing what David can do to try and put him in a position, and David's just soaking up the pressure. So, Sunday drive for me. Sunday drive. He's probably doing his knitting right now. That's probably what the CSR Vulcan's doing right now up in the other Renault. This could be a Renault 1.3, or it could be a Ferrari powered car. Absolutely throwing a spanner in the works for that potential podium. Going to come up onto broadcast view because I'm sick of looking at the Gort's helmet, which is a shock because I love the Gort's helmet. So closing up just a little bit. A straight, really, you don't want to really make a move here unless you're properly desperate. Last lap of the Grand Prix, all or nothing, but De Gort is still trying. Lap 24, heading into lap 25 here in SpeedForce Racing. The Premier Division here, round 2 in Bahrain. If you want to have a go, drop us a message on here. Obviously, have requirements. Have a PlayStation. Have PlayStation Plus. Have the F1 games, and have a little bit of racecraft. You can learn a lot doing this, but learning a lot right now is De Gort. He's learnt the moves of what to do, and now he's going to have a try for the podium. He's in DRS. He's faked him out, and he's gone straight for the inside. Who's quicker on the brakes though? It's the Sauber still! As I blow my microphone out, and I rip my voice open. Oh, my voice is going to be sore tomorrow, because tonight we've had some fantastic racing, as David now it goes even more defensive and decides that he is going to keep that. This is the first time David's had to properly defend this race, and De Gort has just been sat there, just perfectly in tune, knowing what to do. De Gort is starting to get frustrated. He sees it. 5 laps of the Grand Prix left. A little bit less than 5 laps of the Grand Prix left, and he is ready to overtake and go for the podium. This will be, I believe, his first podium since his win back in Malaysia, when he drove in the Ferrari team in season 2. Before the introduction of these wonderful halos in the car to protect drivers' heads. And you know what? To be honest, after looking at them for a while, they're not that bad. To be honest, they could be worst. They could be worst. Yeah, they could be worst. That is a word. That is grammar. You see my brain starting to break as it's 5 minutes to 10 here in the UK, and these drivers, tell you what, they must have had naps during the day because they've got energy to spare. De Gort running a little bit wide out of the final corner. That's given, I think, David just that little bit of a breather for this one. It was much closer, but DRS open. David going even tighter to the inside, knowing De Gort will not try it round the inside this time. He pulls close, parking it in the middle of the road. Look at that. Perfect defending from David, but not enough, because there goes De Gort round the inside, into, and he snaps back again. These two having a biblical battle heading into Sector 2. And this battle has been there. It's been sizzling for a while, and now it's heating up to the point that these guys, it's the jewel in the desert, just no silver in sight, just white, red and yellow and black. I tell you what, I reckon my mum would be able to hear that, and she'd have no idea what I'm on about right now. So, Renault trying to get past Sauber. That is an awful camera angle. So, hello, Gort's helmet. We're going to write on top of the Gort. Take that as you will, and De Gort obviously will be hearing this later. Love you too, darling. So he's having a look, he's having a try, he's trying to go for the podium. Lap 26, and these two have been going at it now since about lap 19, if my memory serves me right, or probably not. Who knows at this rate? My memory is shocking half the time. The copper helmeted Renault driver versus the orange and black helmeted Sauber driver, almost a Ferrari driver there. Ferrari power in the back of that car versus Renault power. Ferrari obviously being the better right now in Formula 1. In SpeedForce though, it's Renault on top today. So, even closer now is De Gort, not Orchard David. Orchard David trying to defend, goes to the inside, still on the inside. De Gort snaps around to the outside, he's having a look. Big gap between them, and David doing a brilliant job at defending, getting egged on by them, and he's still trying to get faster. I'll have a look at your message in a minute. Orchard David on the inside, he's having a look at the Renault, he decides not to. He pulls into it as Carlos GB has left the session after his earlier collision. Get a message from Lee. That's just admin chat there. Just put in there. Thank you, Lee. So you see, De Gort now having a brilliant run. He had some great times, but now it's David's turn, thinking, you know what? You've had your turn at attacking me. I'm going to get past you in the next 2 laps. Because that's all we've got left here in this Grand Prix. And CSR Vulcan's controlling this right now. from P1. The only time he wasn't in P1 was when this man was in P1, Orchard David, who's still trying to go for P3, and he's lost it. No! Orchard David has lost it, and that's his chance at the podium out of this Grand Prix. Oh no, and I feel for him now, getting out of the way of his teammate coming around to take P4, and I feel for him. He was pushing so hard, and Dirty Air just took it too far, and I feel for David. As now that's tough to handle. Oh, contact now between the Salvas, and they're fighting. There's no team orders here. They're fighting. 2 laps to go to Grand Prix, and David pulls into the pit lane and decides, 5 second stop go penalty. That's going to put a massive dent in his championship hopes in P2 in season 4, and that drops him into the last points paying position in P6 tonight. What are we looking for? We're looking for. There's no close battles on track, so we're going to go more with Vulcan himself as you get ready to go on to the final lap of the Grand Prix. Vulcan, I don't know the man well. I will be chatting to him more as I'm curious about this man, this mythical bird who's come in to try and soothe SpeedForce Racing. Car number 22. Normally I gravitate a lot to 22s because they gave me Taylor Swift's song. No, they gave me Jensen Button's championship, and everyone knows that the JB in my name stands for Jensen Button. Also my name, but you know, spoilers. So you see, Vulcan has had a brilliant drive today. I'm giving him a full review of this as if it was the final lap, but it is the penultimate lap, coming now down onto the final lap. And look at this, he's coming around, he's just so controlled, no effort needed whatsoever, and he's just going down now onto the final lap. So Vulcan is 9 seconds, basically 10 seconds ahead of Hamilton, as Tough to Handle gets a 3-second time penalty. But he's going to be in P5 once more, and that's 2 P5s on the trot for Tough to Handle this week. In the last couple of weeks here in SpeedForce Racing. It has been a phenomenal night commentating for both Premier and GP2, and I have enjoyed every second of it. Though there has been controversy in both races, I think once again SpeedForce has shown why it is the best racing league on PS4. Fact. Definitely not my opinion, etc, etc. Vulcan has proven that he is a very quick driver, and he will be taking it to Sayuza and Ramavaj once they return for hopefully next week in China, where we will be seeing a lot of drivers have some fun down that second longest straight in Formula 1, and then we'll be heading to Baku in 2 weeks time, which I can't wait to go and see how these drivers react in there. But the day currently stands with Vulcan, not Sayuza. I stand corrected. I'm sorry, I'm having a moment today. Vulcan has had a flawless run in the Renault, and he's about to win, and he knows it. Sector 2, there's a yellow flag. I'm not sure who that is, but that's not important right now, because the yellow flag is really for the Renault, who's weaving. He's absolutely joyous as he wins for the first time in SpeedForce Racing. He wins his debut race. Well done, Vulcan. Hamilton comes home in second to make it a CSR 1-2, and a brilliant drive nonetheless as he crashes off the line, as most CSR drivers would do. And the Gort, P3, a 1-3 for Renault. Welcome to Season 3, Gort. How are you doing, my friend? Orchard Sox in P4. Just happy to finish the race. Well done, sir, on your debut. Tough to Handle in P5 is quite far back, but yellow flags being waved for the stricken Mercedes on the side. He's just happy to finish after having a good race in P5. And Orchard David, what could have been, my friend? You've done really well for P6 in this race. I was so sure that you'd lost it for a moment there, but P6 will do. Points paying position as he pulls over the side of the Grand Prix. Out of fuel, I don't know. And that is Vulcan's day. Vulcan day. Look at that Renault. Clean sweep, a 1-3 as Hamilton leaves. Renault obviously happy. Renault on top in Premier right now. And it will be interesting to see what will be happening as the British drivers raise their flags to an Englishman, a Briton, and I apologise to Hamilton, I don't remember where you're from. I don't recognise that flag. I'm awful with flags. Something I will learn a lot more of when I continue with this. So, the official results right now. So, these are the places on the road, barring any penalties, which may be some, not too sure, is CSR Vulcan in P1 ahead of CSR Hamilton in P2. And the Gort rounding out the podium in P3, a sterling drive from P5 on the grid. Then it was Orchard Sox in P4 ahead of Tough to Handle in P5 ahead of Orchard Davis. What could have been, my friend, but Orchard David down in P6. And the drivers that didn't finish this race was Twanny, Carlos GB, Chopper, Honey Badger and Marquez, who all had incidents in this Grand Prix. So, that was a thrilling race. And you know what? I am going to give that an 8.8. Just because it had battles all the way from the start to the finish. But we didn't have a full grid, so we could have had so much more of this race. So, next week is obviously China for Premier and GP2. And if you're able to join us, it would be fabulous if you would join us next week in the for the Chinese Grand Prix, which is gonna blow our socks off, our orchard socks off, if you will. And well, at the end of every stream, I normally say it. Today, I'm going to say something a little bit distant. I'm not going to say ta-ra tonight, because I think I'm going to say that at the end of GP2. And tonight, I'm going to say ta-ta instead at the end of Premier. So ta-ta, everyone, and see you in China next week on SpeedForce Racing PS4.